Portland City Commissioner Mingus Mapps is running for mayor. You already know that. What you may not know is that he's been getting racist hate mail and emails during his campaign. Commissioner Mingus Mapps is here to talk about it and whether it's affecting his run for mayor. Commissioner Mapps, a fellow Cornell University graduate, welcome back to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Glad to be here.
Your chief of staff contacted me about the emails and the hate mail. Why did you want to talk about it?
Well, frankly, it's part of our political system now. I hope that Portlanders recognize that despite the kind and caring community we live in, racial threats and racial harassment are still part of our political culture. One of the things I want to do is to raise awareness of this, and one of the things I want to do as just a civic leader is to call on all Portlanders to reject hate.
Let's take a look at some of the emails and letters, and keep in mind these are just a few of them. This one is under the heading, "Let the N-word go." You know what the N-word is, I won't say it. The writer rants about DEI equity idiots and asks, are you just plain N-words not worth of the infrastructure you enjoy? I imagine that person meant to say worthy. Here's another one. This one laments that Portland is not a white homeland and decries everything from multicultural Rose Festival princesses to black gangs to critical race theory. Here's another one wishing the state was pure white, calling all black people pathological in nature and calling us blood-sucking leeches, I guess assuming we're all on welfare. And this last one actually commends you for running as a black man in a mostly white city, but then goes on to say Portland doesn't need to take a chance on another black person in a position of power, referring to former Commissioner Joanne Hardesty, and also fearing that you might try to establish an office of black supremacy and reparations. Now, what do you think when you read this stuff?
It makes me sad for the folks who are reaching out with messages of fear and hate like that. It reminds me that we need to get to know each other better. I am, although my skin looks different, I am no different from my neighbors who just want to make sure that their kids are safe. We got good schools, we got good parks. I don't think that people who look like myself want anything more than their neighbors, but we sure want a fair shot to participate in this wonderful community that we have.
About how many of these type of communications have you gotten?
Well, it depends on the format. We get probably, we get a couple of letters a month through the office. You know, social media is frankly just a constant barrage of hate and fear and abuse. I'll tell you, all of those things come in and we hand them over to our security experts who advise us on how to respond. Some of them we feel like we can ignore. Sometimes we feel like we have to take some special security steps to keep myself, my staff, and my family safe.
Let's dive into that. What effect has this had on your campaign, and do you have personal security now?
Well, I don't think it's impacted our campaign. You know, one of the realities of being a black man in America is you're going to be the subject of a certain amount of racist abuse. I've been a black man my whole life, so this is how I proceed. So we're marching forward. I'll tell you what I do fear for my staff, and that is an incredibly important concern for me. Frankly, right now, because of some recent threats that we've gotten, we do have an enhanced security stance.
I've had some experience with this kind of thing.
I know you have.
Yeah, after the 2020 election, I got some racist hate mail from a Trump supporter. You see it there. They wrote it over my biography and printed it out and mailed it to me,
oh my gosh,
saying I should be wrapped in chains and hung by my ugly black private parts. He circled the N-word for emphasis. My response to that letter actually won an Emmy for myself and anchor Jeff Gianola, who interviewed me about it.
My gosh.
My GM offered me personal security during that time, which I declined. Police were never able to figure out who sent the letter. Other high-profile black people in this state have gotten similar things. And is it just a matter of we have to chalk it up to the experience of being a black man in a mostly white community? I mean, how do you deal with this overall?
Oh, well, absolutely. And I think that the message here is not that I am unique. In my experience, you know, every elected of color suffers some version of this. Frankly, I probably have an easier time than many of my other colleagues in this space. What I think is most important for us as a state and a city, is to come together and reject this. We are better than this. And I also recognize that the people who are sending toxic letters like this, threatening letters like this, are themselves deeply consumed by fear. I think that's one of the reasons why I do the work I do. I want to create a state that is safer, more secure, provide support for folks who feel vulnerable. That's what gets me up in the morning and gets me to go into work. I believe that if we continue to lean into making a better city, our children and our grandchildren can avoid conversations like the one we're having today.
Has it gotten better or worse in today's political climate?
I will tell you, one of the things that I see is that it is deeply connected to our election cycles. Whenever we're about to vote, the racist abuse gets worse. So that is a concern, but a reality that we deal with. I will also tell you that over time, I think it's also gotten worse. My kids were born during the Obama administration, and I was deeply hopeful that at that moment, when they had those little brown babies, that they would grow up in a world where we didn't have to, suffer and hear the kind of racist abuse that I receive and my colleagues receive. One of the things that I think I've seen over the past 15 years is that it's actually gotten worse. I thought we were actually moving away from conversations like this. In practice, I think it's gotten worse in the last decade or so.
We haven't talked much about your campaign or politics talking about this, but we did mention that you had talked about pulling out of the agreement with the Joint Office of Homeless Services. And while I have you here, I want to delve into that a little bit. Why do you think that relationship is not working?
Well, first, let me be clear. If we're going to solve homelessness in our community, the city and the county have to work together. At the same time, I think it's important for us to evaluate our work and take a look at where we need to do better. One of the places where we clearly need to do better is, despite the fact that we literally have a contract that says the city and the county shall clearly define what the city's lane in the homelessness space is and what the county's lane in the homelessness space is. We have not done that yet. That needs to happen. We also need to figure out how to support our clients in our Safe Rest villages. The city is taking hundreds of people off the sidewalks into our Safe Rest villages. Those people are stabilizing and frankly sobering up after a couple of months in those spaces, but we want to move them into permanent supportive housing. And in order to do that, we need to have housing vouchers for the county. And we're still having trouble getting those housing vouchers. So what I want from this agreement is clarity on who does what, and frankly, support for our Safe Rest Village clients. We haven't gotten there as of today. One of the things that we're doing right now is having some tough conversations with our colleagues across the river to try to make the system work better.
What about Dan Field's point that they are making progress? You heard his soundbite earlier in this program, and he feels it would be premature to end this relationship before they're able to finish what they've started?
Well, I don't think anyone is talking about ending the relationship. We all recognize that we have to work together, but we have to do better. If the city and the county can't sit down at a table and agree who does what in this space, that is a fundamental problem. And frankly, it's an existential problem for the city not to have housing vouchers for our Safe Rest Village clients. If we can't move people through that system, it literally will stop helping us move people from the sidewalks into supportive housing.
Last question. How is this campaign going for you? I know that, earlier in the campaign, there were some appearances that you didn't make. You're starting to be more on the scene right now, of course, as we get closer to the election. Where are you now?
It's going great. I'll tell you, ballots are probably in your mailbox right now. We're out there every day talking to folks. One of the things that the polls show is that 30% of voters are still undecided. I want people to know that Mingus Mapps is on the ballot, and if you want common sense solutions to our most crucial problems, I sure hope that you'll consider ranking me #1 in the mayor's race.
Commissioner Mingus Mapps, thank you very much for being here on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.